Hi there, and welcome to Section 3 of the Draft Like a Designer AutoCAD series. Now that you're mastering some of your basics in AutoCAD like line and zoom and all the essential drawing tools, it's time to expand your drawing toolbox a little. So this section is about learning how to draw objects like polylines, circles, arcs, rectangles, so much more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through each drawing tool one step at a time. For every object, I'll demonstrate how to create it, explain what it does, and share a few tips and tricks that I use in my own workflow. This video is organized into short, easy to follow segments, with each section focusing on a single drawing tool. So my goal is really to give you a solid foundation without overwhelming you with too much information at once. Now, some tools are going to require more explanation than others. So if you have questions or want to explore a topic in more depth, be sure to ask your instructor. All the drawing tools are located on the Home tab of the ribbon on the first panel called Draw. And the first tool that we're going to learn is called the Polyline. What exactly is a polyline? Well, I like to think of polyline as a type of line tool. While Line Command creates individual line segments, the polyline is going to create one giant connected object. So to start the polyline, you can do it one of two ways. You can either click on the button on the Home tab of the ribbon, or you can type PL or Pline in your dynamic input. So let's go ahead and type PL, hit enter. Now that dynamic input is telling you to click a starting point. So let's just click randomly on the screen to give it a go. And you'll see that it behaves just like that line command. The first click places that first endpoint. The next series of clicks will add line segments until you hit escape to end the command. Now let's click back on that line to see that the entire line and all segments highlight as one unit. Now notice that flat midpoint grip. This is called a stretch grip. If you click on it to activate it, you can see how you can move one segment and the other segments will stay attached to it and they will stretch depending on where you place it. I'm going to go ahead and hit escape to deselect that line. Let's draw another polyline. I just want to show you that you can draw using the X lines and your polar tracking to make sure that you are drawing in a perfect angle. You can also type in the measurement that you want to do. So if this is 1 foot 2 inches, this one will be 8 inches, this one will be 5 inches, and this one will be 1 foot. Hit escape. Alright, I want to show you one more thing about Polyline. Go ahead and click the Polyline. Let's make a start point, but before we click on a second point, I want you to look down at the command bar. You should see a series of options that comes with the Polyline command. Do you see how there is one blue letter in each word? Type that letter to activate that option. So for instance, if you want to draw a curved line instead of a straight line, let's go ahead and type A for arc. And you have to be in the middle of the drawing command to do this. You should now see that your line is curved like an arc. And now you're drawing in arcs. When you're ready to go back to a straight line in the middle of your drawing command, just type L for line and you'll be back to drawing straight lines again. I'm going to go ahead and hit escape to end the command. Now I don't use Polyline an awful lot, but it will come in handy for times when you need to get the square footage of a room or space for occupancy and code purposes. So just to demonstrate that a little bit, I'm going to activate the Polyline command. Let's just draw a little box. It can be perfect, it can be odd shaped. Here, I'll do an odd shaped one just so that you can see. I went ahead and closed it, so I clicked back on that first starting point so that it's a closed shape. I'm going to highlight that shape and I'm going to type the word list, L-I-S-T. Enter. Your command bar goes a little crazy, but you should see in there where it tells you what the area is in square inches as well as square feet. So in this case, that little box was 78.08 square inches. or 0.522 square feet. You're not going to need to use this a whole awful lot, but you will start using it when you have to start understanding the occupancy of spaces and when you start working with codes. So just keep that in mind for future reference. This concludes the basic concepts of Polyline. Let's go ahead and delete these lines and move on to the next shape, which is going to be the circle. Circles, yep, those are the round objects, and we draw them often in AutoCAD for things like furniture, columns, and lighting, among other things. And what I love about AutoCAD is there isn't just one way to draw a circle. So if you go up to the ribbon and click underneath the circle button, you're going to see a list of circles that you can create. Now the end result is always a circle, but it's how you get to that end result that can vary. So the default circle is the center radius circle. You can also type C for circle or circle to start the command. Now, when you start the command, the dynamic input is telling you to specify where you want the center of the circle to be. So let's just click anywhere randomly, and you just move your cursor out. And you should be able to see as you're moving your cursor that there's a dynamic measurement between the center of the circle and your cursor. This is showing you how large that measurement actually is. So it's showing you the radius measurement of the circle, just like the name of the circle suggests. You can place the circle by either typing a specific distance or randomly click to place it. So let's just randomly click. That wasn't so hard. If you click back on that circle, you'll notice that there is a center grip, and that allows you to move the circle as you wish. And these edge grips will allow you to readjust the circle however you see fit. You can also type in, if I want 5 inches, just hit 5 and enter, and your circle is now 5 inches. All right, let's draw a new random circle so that we can take a look at this again. If you want to go ahead and do the diameter, of course there was a diameter circle that we could choose, but if you look down at the command bar, you should also see that there is a diameter option. And so right now, if I type D for diameter, hit enter, you'll see that that dynamic measurement changed from the radius to the diameter. And now if I want to draw a 2-foot circle, I just type 2 foot, hit enter, and it does so. Now I'm not going to go into all the circles. I do encourage you to take a look and try out each circle. I do want to demonstrate this 2-point circle just so that you get an idea for what it does. But first I need to draw a couple lines. So I'm going to draw the first line vertically, just like that. Hit escape to end the drawing. I'm going to hit the space bar, and that repeats the last command that I just did, so I don't have to go all the way back up to the ribbon and do the line command. Hit escape. Come over to the circle. We're going to hit that drop down menu, and I'm going to choose 2-point. I'm going to find the midpoint of this line, and remember, if you can't find the midpoint of a line, it means that your O-snaps are not set to finding midpoint. So make sure that you come to the O-snap down in the status bar and make sure that midpoint is checked. All right, I'm going to click first, and you'll see how that circle actually is drawing differently. It's drawing from the side instead of from the center, and that allows me to draw a perfect circle in between these two lines without overlapping and without gapping. So in the end, it really doesn't matter which circle that you're creating. Just know that some circles make drafting easier for some tasks, and it can be more difficult for other tasks. So eventually you're going to learn which circle is easier to use depending on the task itself. But for now, just use the default center radius circle until you become more familiar with them. And this concludes the basic concepts of circle. So let's delete all this line work, and we'll move on to the next shape, which is going to be the arc. When drafting in AutoCAD, sometimes you need to draw some curvy lines, like for floor plan door swings or arched doorways and elevations. The command that manages curvy line segments is the arc command. The default arc is the 3-point arc, and to start this command, you can either click on the arc button in the ribbon or type A for arc, or ARC. Now the 3-point arc works with 3 clicks, and just like dynamic input is saying, first you're going to specify a start point of an arc, so let's go ahead and randomly click. The second click is going to help you gauge where to place the top of the arc, or the hump, so to speak, and that third click is going to go ahead and place that arc in place, therefore ending the command. Now arcs are a little bit of a 2-year-old. They're sometimes a little easier to place first and then adjust it. So the general rule of thumb, and let me demonstrate. Here we're going to start an arc. We're going to determine the hump size, and then the closer that your endpoints are placed to each other, the more it wants to behave like a circle, and the further apart you place the endpoints, the more of an arc you get. And sometimes it gets really crazy when you try to get like right on that start point. It does not know what to do. So just place it further apart. If you need to adjust it, click on the arc, and here is where you can move the entire arc. The end grips will help you adjust like where exactly that arc lives, and this middle grip will help you adjust how shallow or high your arc actually goes. Now if we go to the ribbon and we click on the little button underneath the arc to bring that drop down menu, you're going to see a plethora of arcs that you can use. In the end, you always end up with an arc. It's just how you get there that can vary. I rarely use any other arc but the 3-point arc, but you are free to explore and try out all these different arcs as you wish. Again, some of them will work quicker and easier for some tasks than others. But this concludes the basic concepts of the arc, so let's delete all the line work on the screen, and we're going to move on to the next shape, which is going to be the rectangle.